So, good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to start Indian anthropology, and in this unit, the scholars become very important. I would suggest all the online students to attend live classes because once you internalize things in the class, then more of it is going to be a story, or else it is facts that you have to rote learn. So, it's up to you. Whatever the way you will remember, the way you are comfortable, it's okay. But from my point of view, these scholars you will be able to remember for a long time when you know the story and background behind them. Or if you're just reading like something which you want to finish, then you're going to face the trouble. So today we are going to cover three to four important scholars. One is L.K. Ananta Krishna Iyer. Then S.C. Roy, G.S. Ghurye, then we have Verrier Elwin. Okay. In today's class, we are going to cover these scholars and it's important. So first we have L.K. Iyer. So L.K. Iyer is not anthropologist by his choice. Okay, he became anthropologist by chance. Okay, so initially he was not into this formal education of anthropology or something, or he did not even read anthropology in the beginning of his life. Okay, so first he was appointed as a clerk. He was appointed as a clerk in some place, and from there he belonged to Palghat area, you know, right? Palghat, which is in the a Ghat region in the Western Ghats, which is located in the Kerala region, right? So he belonged to that area, and that was under the Madras state in the beginning. It was under the Madras state. There he was appointed as a clerk, so which is then part of Madras. He belonged to the village near the Palghat. You don't need to remember the village, or the name of the village is Lakshmi Narayanapuram. The name of the village is Lakshmi Narayanapuram. Here you don't need to focus on the names, but you need to know that what is the background of him, where did he come from, and how did he convert into anthropologist? How did he become so famous that we are reading today in the class? This is very important. So, a clerk in the land settlement office in Wayanad, he was working there in the beginning, and slowly he was forced to move towards education sector. Then he was appointed as a teacher. He was appointed as a science teacher at Victoria College. So now what we'll think Victoria College, immediately we remember West Bengal and Calcutta. But Victoria College was established by Britishers at multiple places, and this is the Victoria College in Palghar. Okay, and then he became scientific assistant later on. First he was a science teacher, then he became the scientific assistant at Maharaja's College, Ernakulam. This was his initial life. Started as a clerk, then became science teacher, then scientific assistant. After this comes a change. Almost for 2 decades, he was continuing in this field of education and he was working as an educator. Then comes a small change. Okay, so this was in 1902. Observe the dates carefully because we have read how Indian anthropology evolved over a period of time. So in previous class, we saw the dates. So that was just to have an idea so that you can connect all these scholars. Now in 1902, British colonial administration, if you remember, the Riskless People of India project happened. Like we studied in 2.1 demographic profile of India. So there we have studied racial classification. Within that we have studied Riskless. Riskless, what did he do? He studied lot of people and from there he gave the classification. Right? So here under the Risley, there was a project known as Ethnographic Survey of India in 1902. And in order to supplement the census, see in 1901 a census happened. When did census start? 1881, right? So that was the first time the census happened. And now again every 10 years it was happening. So 1901 was the next census. Now in order to supplement, okay, in order to add to this, one more project was taken, Ethnographic Survey of India. In order to fulfill the requirements of Ethnographic Survey of India, they were looking for people who can help. Then in the princely state of Cochin, the task of finding such a person, so this was in Cochin area, so in Kerala, right, in the old whole Madras. So in the Cochin, it was on the Diwan. So Diwan, the name of the person was Pattabhi Ramarao, who was the Diwan. He should find out who will do this work. So then that person has identified the L.K.A. Iyer. They approached L.K.A. Iyer to assist the ethnographic survey of the state. And this was not a formal salaried appointment, but it was only just like, now to conduct surveys, government will hire people, right? Government will hire people to conduct surveys. It's not permanent salary basis. So now here also it was honorary position, but not a salaried full-time job. He was continuing along with his teaching. So now he is teaching, along with that he is continuing. So anthropologist was not the career that he chose. He was educator by choice. But by chance he is moving towards anthropology, you can notice. Now because of Risley's recommendation, he started taking up the work. Now Risley had almost 27 points to be noted. While you go, what you have to do? You have to go and ask about the details. You have to take the measurements. You have to ask the questions. You have to ask what is the origin, what is your tradition, where do you stay, what kind of religion, magic, sorcery you follow. So, Risley, especially one thing what was focused upon Risley's measurements, what was the measurement which he focused more upon? Nasal index, nose. I think if you are not coming up with these answers, then you are not at all preparing for the exam. This is very serious because Risley means His theory is related to nose and the caste. Right? He says that Aryans entered, Aryans mated with the non-Aryans, they integrated, then they divided into castes, different castes, and those who are having long nose, then they belong to upper caste. Long nose, upper caste. Because nasal index is B by L. So if somebody is having less nasal index, they belong to higher caste. So it was centered around these things, right? So now Risley gave, when you go and do the survey, use these 27 points. Now L.K.A said this is a cumbersome thing and this is too much and this is not well organized. So he changes that 27 points to 14 points framework. Okay, so he will ask what is your name, what is your origin tradition, and what is your habitation, marriage, pregnancy, inheritance, what is your social organization, what is your economic organization, religion, magic, science, okay, funeral ceremonies, how do you conduct, physical and mental characteristics will come then food and social status. These all things. You need not remember anything, just try to know that when Risley sent him to do the work, he gave a formula to do the survey. Now, he took his own style. Okay, so he rejected the administrative method of collecting information through intermediaries. Now, what administrators did, they said they'll give a set of questions, you give it to somebody, send it to all the people, collect the information. Okay, that was the method followed by the administration and which Risley was telling. But he did not like it. He said his scientific training had taught him the value of direct observation because he was a science teacher. Okay, at the same time he was scientific assistant. That scientific vigor of him always forced him to have the direct observation. That's why he himself went to the villages, spent the time there, okay, did the field work and collected the information. So now you need to know that by minimizing the focus on anthropometry, because Risley was focusing more on the measurements, physical measurements. He reduced that and he focused more on the social institutions. If you have seen the list, so this shift made the very important change. Okay, so the shift of studying people, because previously the study was more centered towards anthropometric measurements. Now it is towards the social institutions. So what is the focus that itself got changed, right? The focus itself got changed. So here we need to understand that L.K. Iyer, or you should say L.K. Anantakrishna Iyer, L.K.A. Iyer, because the later generations have the same names. That's why you will get confused. So L.K. Anantakrishna Iyer said that Indian society should be understood not through an externally imposed racial lens. You are trying to see from the point of races from the externally imposed. That means Britishers are imposing. Rather, you should understand from its own social and cultural systems. That is what he has emphasized. So this made a powerful shift from the focus of racial lens to the own socio-cultural systems. First thing, you're clear. The first important thing. There they were focusing the questionnaires. That questionnaire is nothing but a form which is consisting of questions and you are giving to people and you are collecting the information. That is questionnaire. Now here it is direct field work, participant observation is done, personal interviews are conducted. Risley took 27 points, he took 14 points. And here organizing the data was based on alphabetic or arbitrary listing. So it was based on alphabetic or some arbitrary listing is done. but he arranged the data based on hierarchy. He arranged the data that he has got based on the hierarchy. So you can see that he is more into understanding of the social institutions. So here, according to Risley, caste is the function of the race, right? So if you see, how did caste come? Because Aryans came. Aryans is a new race. So Aryans interacted. That gave rise to caste. So caste is a function of race according to Risley. And according to Iyer, he says that caste and tribe, they are complex systems or complex social systems which we cannot understand directly, and it has unique its own histories. Caste has its own history which is unique, which you can't understand. It's a very complex social system. So you can't reduce it to just racial thing. That's what the Iyer is saying through his work. So this was the first contribution of Iyer. Got it? And I'm telling you again, if you listen carefully all these classes, you don't have to bother about rote learning these scholars, or else you sit and read for n number of times, still you'll forget. This is a story you have to remember. Just know that he was born there in those area where he did not think of becoming a anthropologist, rather was a teacher. Some people called him, asked him for help, but he himself, his scientific vigor has forced him to move towards it. And then one by one, works kept on coming to him. So now he did innovative fieldwork here. By seeing this, he got other opportunities also. So he has done two important projects, two monumental ethnographic projects, okay, which became the foundational texts in South Indian anthropology. In South Indian anthropology, any anthropologist who came, they first looked at these books, foundational texts. And two monumental works have been done by the L.K. Iyer, L.K. Ananthakrishna Iyer. Okay, so generally they use the term L.K.A. So the first work is in 1902, the Cochin Tribes and Castes. See, in the books, you will be only having the facts. You won't have the story. Facts can't be memorized because there is no logic in it. And this came in two volumes. First volume in 1909, second volume in 1912. So what made it revolutionary? This was a revolutionary work. What made it revolutionary? What made it revolutionary was not the content, but its structure. I told you, right, while he was doing ethnographic survey, his focus was on social institutions, and his arrangement was based on hierarchy, not randomness. So here two volumes. First volume in 1909 belonged to the lower caste. Okay, so hill and jungle tribes and the lower caste people. So he started with forest dwelling Kadars. Okay, so first he started with the Kadars who are forest dwelling. and he moved up the hierarchy. So first, this is regarding all the hill and jungle tribes and other lower castes. So that consisted in the first volume. In the second volume, you have the Nambudiri Brahmins and Kshatriyas who were of the higher caste. Okay. So now this was one of the important contribution through his 1902 study. The direct result was Cochin tribes and the castes. Here, one important thing we need to focus here is that regarding the Kadars, he was writing about them because they're forest dwelling and hunting gatherer community. Okay, so they belong to Cochin, and he wrote a detailed chronicle of their customs. What's interesting is not writing about their customs, but his empathy towards them, how they were dispossessed of their lands by these administrators, and the entry of money lenders, how they tried to exploit and extort the people over there belonging to the Kadar community. So the Kadar people were exploited by the outsiders, and they made them lose their land. So they were grabbing the lands of these people. The disposition of lands were happening. And this empathetic detailing was mentioned. So he did not just mention what is there, but he also mentioned the empathy towards them in the work. So he also observed that when modernity interacted with these tribes, it deprived of their basic rights. So he has mentioned all the customs, how they used to bury the dead. They used to bury the dead in distant, okay, because they had the unique beliefs that it will come and torment their children, because they believed in ghosts and ghosts will torment their children. So that's why they used to bury the dead in distant. So these all detailings were mentioned in the work of the Cochin tribes and castes, and especially his focus on other tribes. Clear? So now he started getting famous internationally. All the administrators, when they saw this work, they started praising. Okay, this is a wonderful insight to take a structural approach and understanding in their own social institutions and arranging them based on hierarchy, not alphabetically or arbitrarily. So this reputation has led to the second great undertaking. In 1924, he was establishing anthropology department at Calcutta University. So you can see anthropology department was being established in 1924 with the help of Ananta Krishna Iyer. So the Maharaja of Mysore, while he was doing this, Maharaja of Mysore personally invited him to take charge of an ethnographic survey of his own state. Maharaja called, I also want to know about my people. I want you to take the survey of my state. So this project was initiated by another scholar, okay, known as Nanjundaya. He was a scholar who initiated, who passed away before its completion. This project was initiated by Nanjundaya, but he passed away before the completion. Then Iyer had to be invited to take up it, and then comes the massive four-volume study of Mysore, the same, replace Cochin with Mysore, the Mysore tribes and the castes. and this was published by Mysore University in 1928 to 1935. So this was in 1912, and 1928 to 1935, 4 volumes were published by Mysore University. The name of the work is The Mysore Tribes and Castes. And first volume was published in the last in 1935, and which is described as the one of the most finest and exhaustive treatise of South Indian ethnology. So now we constantly use 3 terms: ethnology, ethnography, or ethnograph, or the other name is monograph. What is the difference between ethnology, ethnograph, and monograph? Most of the times you are confused. Students use interchangeably, but there is a small difference between. Suppose there is a tribe, and I go to that tribe, I stay there, I'll conduct the field work, I get to know about them, okay, I'll list all the details, and I come up with a work. So this is the work I have come up with by going and working. The method that I follow, the field work and participant observation, along with direct observation of the details, that is called as ethnography, and result out of it is monograph. Monograph is work that has come out as an outcome. Monograph is the outcome. Ethnography is the method and direct observation and detailed observation of the people whom you are studying. So the method that you follow and direct observation of the details. And what is ethnology? Now many people will do the work and publish things. Now somebody did the work and they have published some other. Now when you compare these two and try to understand the differences, then that is called as ethnology. So ethnography, monograph, and ethnology. Ethnograph or ethnography is the method plus direct observation. Monograph is the outcome of this observation, and the ethnology is comparison of multiple monographs and studying them, or multiple ethnographies, we can say. Multiple studies have been done, you compare them and try to study what are the similarities and what are the differences. So that is the clear differentiation between ethnology, ethnograph, and monograph. So don't get confused. So ethnograph and monograph sometimes can be used interchangeably because the result would be same. And ethnology specifically means that you are not doing the direct study, rather somebody has studied that you are trying to compare. Okay, are you clear? Online students, are you clear? Right. So Ananta Krishna Iyer, he went to the field and he saw, he studied. Then he thought that the knowledge of anthropology if it has to have future in India, then it should not be limited to the field or books. It should have an institutional home. Okay, so it needs an institution, and that's how he starts pushing for the separate course and separate department within the Calcutta University. So Department of Anthropology, which he was trying to establish. Okay, so now he became a visionary and institutional builder. Previously, he was a field worker. Now he is becoming visionary, thinking that this should take an institutional shape. Right? How the change has happened from a teacher to the visionary of establishing an institution altogether. So the Department of Anthropology was born in Calcutta. Okay, so you know Ashutosh Mukherjee, who was the Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University, he was impressed by Ananta Krishna Iyer's speech at Indian Science Congress. Okay, so recognizing the formal need, see, who was the Vice Chancellor? Ashutosh Mukherjee, Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University. Indian Science Congress happened. Ananta Krishna Iyer's speech was so good. He was impressed. Okay, and then he started talking with Ananta Krishna Iyer. Vice Chancellor started talking. Then slowly, first important postgraduate department in 1921 was established. Okay, so directly people won't let you establish, right? So seeing his work and the way he is delivering the things, that made him, and he was the first head and chairman of the board of the studies until his retirement in 1932. Until 1932, he was heading it. He was the chairman and the first head. Now, this legacy was not just limited to him. He just did not stop there. Even the further studies, like his heirs, that whoever next generation have come, his son, his grandson, they were also anthropologists. And his work took the praise from not just India, but those people who were living abroad, and many global congresses that were happening were inviting L.K. Anantakrishna here. So he went to Paris and he went to different places to give. He went to Vienna. He explained regarding the agriculture. So especially with respect to Indian agriculture, he says that it has to be understood from the point of view of religion. So there is a work known as the agriculture basis of religion in India. Okay, the agriculture basis of religion in India. So here he sees the things not just in a descriptive way. So he's not just looking at it and he's not just telling that they're doing something, but he's analyzing, understanding, and trying to explain it. So he is trying to be at the core of the custom that is being practiced and try to understand from their point of view. So you can see that he is talking about agriculture is related to economy, religion is a custom. Okay, so how the culture is interacting with the environment in order to adapt. So how these people are adapting, how these people are having beliefs, how these people are practicing. So when to sow, how to sow, what things, what rituals has to be followed. These were all on the basis of religion. Later on, you will be studying a concept of cultural ecology, which is given by Julian Stewart. Julian Stewart, at very late point of time, I told you that American anthropologists came very late. Julian Stewart is an American anthropologist. But you can see before 1930s only, the Anantha Krishna Iyer was talking of those terms. He did not specifically mention cultural ecology, but he is already talking about those terms and those principles. Okay. So he was articulating the core principles of cultural ecology decades before American anthropologists gave the concept. Okay. So these were the contributions of L.K. Anantha Krishna Iyer. He was given the title of Rai Bahadur by British administration for the service that he has done for the public service, and then he got honorary doctorate from University of Breslau in Germany. So this is a university in Germany. So he got honorary doctorate from there because of his service that he has done to the anthropology. And Diwan Bahadur, which is a further higher distinguished title from the government of India. So it has been given by, oh sorry, Diwan Bahadur is a much more better title than Rai Bahadur. Okay, so these are the various honoraries that he has gained, or honors that he has gained over a period of time in his life. So now L.K. Anantha Krishna Iyer, I hope you are clear. You don't need to go and rote learn what L.K. Anantha Krishna Iyer has done. Right? Now you need not rote learn. L.K. Anantha Krishna Iyer, you should be spot on. What is it? Where did he come from? Where did he go? What was his interest? How did he change? First were Cochin tribes and castes. Then he was establishing anthropology department. Ashutosh Mukherjee, vice chancellor. So with the help of whom he is trying to establish. By 1924, it gets established. So by then, Mysore Maharaja will call him. Why? Because already Nandunjaya took a project of doing the ethnographic survey of the state, but he died in between. Now to continue, he need a good person. So he called Anantha Krishna Iyer. So he came and he has done the work. Clear? So this chapter should help you in such a way that you are able to connect the things at multiple places. First and foremost, which is starting around 1902, the census. Okay, the census forced him to do the work, right? When 1901 census has been conducted, then they want to complement or supplement the census with ethnographic survey, and for that they need the help. So there it started. So it was in 1902, but still S.A. Roy, Sharat Chandra Roy, is considered as the father of Indian anthropology and first anthropologist of India. What could be the reason? So next we are moving to Sharat Chandra Roy, who is another famous and important anthropologist of India. L.K. Anantha Krishna Iyer, right? And one more work of Anantha Krishna Iyer was the anthropology of Syrian Christians. So go and study in Wikipedia the anthropology of Syrian Christians. See, many people ask me, Sir, Syro Malabar Christians was the question that was asked in UPSC. It was very new, we never heard this word. If you go and check, I'll be uploading the Unit 4 PDF. It is going to have facts. It's not going to have the story, because only this unit will become 200 pages altogether. if I'm going to add everything in that. This is the direct linkage to the Ananta Krishna Iyer. People don't identify it. Syro Malabar Christians, he has already done the work long back in 1926, and he is very famous for doing these works. See, four works were very famous: Cochin Tribes and Caste, Mysore Tribes and Caste, Anthropology of Syrian Christians, and the lectures in ethnography. The lectures in ethnography. So this was just 1 year before this, 1925. Okay, clear? Done? So moving to the next, Asira. See, just have a look at these things. In exam, they'll ask Ananta Krishna Iyer contributions because he is famous for ethnology. See, these are all the ethnological works that he has. What is ethnology? Comparison. And he is much famous for ethnography. And lectures of ethnography, he has written work itself. Right. So, question can be on how or why Ananta Krishna Iyer is considered as front runner of ethnography in India. Why is he considered as front runner of ethnography in India, especially in anthropology? They can ask a question like this: how to write? You know that when it started for the census purpose, he changed his method. His focus was not on the racial perspective, right? He did not understand caste as a function of race. He did not understand caste as a function of race, rather considered it as own complexity with its own history. And he did not arrange the things alphabetically. He took his own way. He did not go for questionnaires and intermediaries. He went for the direct observation. The scientific vigor that he had within him forced him to go for the direct observation. So the new approach or the shift in the approach has highlighted the work of Ananta Krishna Iyer. At the same time, the outcome of the work is further impressive. The outcome of the work is further impressive, right? Even the people from the global academies started praising the work of Ananta Krishna. Okay, so let's stop here with respect to Iyer and move to the S.C. Roy. S.C. Roy is a person from Kayastha family, born in 1871. There is a village known as Karapara, and this is not in India currently, it is in Bangladesh. Karapara village, Pulna district. Now again, S.C. Roy, did he take up degree in anthropology, or Ananta Krishna Iyer, did he take up degree in anthropology? No, they are not formal anthropologists. They are anthropologists by chance, not by choice. They did not choose it. They became anthropologists by chance. Now he was MA English. MA English. Then he has done law. He has done law. How did he become anthropologist? This person has visited interiors of Chotanagpur plateau. Okay, there he comes across the tribes known as Mundas. He saw there were courts of the law. The courts of the law was not doing justice to these people because the lawyers did not understand the tribal language, their customs, what they are following. Now, when these people don't even understand what they are saying, how can they do the justice? So he was empathetic towards these people and he wanted to help those people as a lawyer, and that's how he developed interest. He started understanding their language, their customs, and he came up with the first work, Munda and Their Country. So here their folk tales, so that means the stories that they do, or folk songs, all their customs has been accounted here. This is the first monograph written by an Indian on an Indian. First monograph he is doing for himself and for the benefit of the group, not for any government related work. And for that reason, he is considered as the first Indian anthropologist. So, first Indian ethnologist or ethnographer of Indian anthropology. First Indian ethnologist, first Indian ethnographer, first Indian anthropologist of India. And he also studied Orons of Chotanagpur, Orons of Chotanagpur in 1915. The name of the work is The Orons of Chotanagpur. So, in the Orons of Chotanagpur, he tried to understand the political system over there and he mentioned about the details. Sometimes the UPSC can ask the political understanding of the tribes by Esirot, how he understood the political systems of the tribes. So, they can ask this. So, I'll give you a short note regarding the Munda's monkey system. There is a monkey system and Oron's Paraha system. Monkey and Parha means it's a group of villages. There are some heads and they will be taking up of certain roles, and that has been studied. And in Munda's monkey system, even it is followed, it is present now also. And why it has started? There was Wilkinson's rule, if you study tribal rebellions in the history, there is coal rebellion. At that point of time, there was need for a support from the Ho tribes and the Munda tribes. So at that point of time, so this person will allow them to take care of religious and certain civil related matters by themselves. So that political system was present. So this they can ask, and it's important. All you need to know is one page of information, and that they can ask. So far they did not ask, but they can. They asked somewhere in 1970s, but we don't know. If UPSC thinks of asking, then it can. So I'll be giving you one page on it. So he studied other tribes also, the hill Buyas of Odisha. And the one more work, see, this is in 1935. The Karyas was the work in 1937. The Karyas. His contribution is not just to socio-cultural anthropology, but to the archaeological anthropology. See, you already know that Archaeological Survey of India was established early. Archaeological Survey of India. So now, according to the findings that he has made, there is a site known as Asura site in the Kalahandi district of Odisha. Asura site. And there is a dam known as Asura Sagar. So the site name is known as Asura site. And he observed that the Asura site belongs to the same age of Indus Valley civilization and culture also looks same. So it is believed that most of the ancient findings at that Asura site were belonging to 500 BC to 500 AD, and some more artifacts were found which were prehistoric Stone Age. So some artifacts which were of prehistoric Stone Age and Copper Bronze Age, which would be around 2000 years ago. And that was the time period of Indus Valley civilization as well, close to that. And here you will be noticing that there is rectangular walls and there are gates also, huge walls surrounding the place. There are gates and there is a reservoir, water reservoir known as Asurasam. So based on the archaeological sites found in Odisha. So his contribution was not just limited to socio-cultural anthropology, but to the archaeological anthropology as well. Okay. And one important thing, just like I told you, you have to focus on the political system understanding and what he has mentioned about the political system of these tribes. So this is with respect to S.C. Roy. S.C. Roy was initially influenced by evolutionists, classical evolutionists, and later he moved to diffusionists and functionalists. So this you'll understand when you relate anthropological thought. Okay. So far, are you clear? Any doubts? Are you clear with Anantakrishna Iyer, S.C. Roy? Clear, everyone? So now we are going to study two more people. One is G.S. Ghurye. G.S. Ghurye, by now you know a lot of things about him because we have studied about him in Which chapter? In which chapter did we study? Caste, right? So features of caste, and at the same time, he was supporting the origin of caste through racial system. If you remember origin of caste theories, there you have the support by G.S. Ghurye to Risley's class. Risley has said something, and this person has supported the Risley's statement. See, G.S. Ghurye was influenced by W.H.R. Rivers. Ghurye joined University of Bombay after Rivers died, and he revived. G.S. Ghurye's more contribution is towards sociology. He revived sociology. And one important thing that I would like to tell you is that it is for the anthropologist, oh sorry, it is to the scientist or the social scientist what he wants him to be called, sociologist or anthropologist in India. There is a social scientist who does the work in India, and it is up to him whether he wants him to be called sociologist or anthropologist, or else he can be called both. And this has been said by Andre Beater, because more of the concept and the scope is overlapping, and henceforth to differentiate between the two strictly in India is difficult. But when the focus is more onto the tribes and not onto the modern society, then differentiation can be done. But else, sociologists and anthropologists feel similar. So, so he revived sociology. He was influenced by Rivers. Rivers is a diffusionist. Diffusionists are those people who believe things develop in one place and they spread to other places. Diffusion means something is invented here and it spreads. People follow it or imitate. And what was the influence that Ghurye had? First is British Orientalism. To explain the caste formation, he used Risley's theory of race. So he is oriented towards Britishers, and then he used Rivers. First influence is by Britishers, that is Risley. Then he used Rivers to explain how the caste which came in the north, because they believe that Aryans entered and mated with the non-Aryans, gave rise to caste. Then how did South Indians develop caste? He believed that the caste diffused across India. Caste got diffused across India. So he used the diffusionist concept by River, and he was patriotic. He was nationalistic as well. So he believed that the reason for development was Indian culture. So he glorified the Indian culture. He was nationalistic. He was being ethnocentric also, because he's considering whatever the Indians have done in the past has led to the glory of Indian culture, not because of these outsiders who came and explained the things and what they believe is the great white man's burden. Okay, it is the development that has happened is because of the Indian culture that has been occurring over the years. His way of understanding the Indian society, what he has done. So he rose against the Indophobic approach of British Orientalism. He accepted, okay, Britishers came, sorry, Aryans entered and caste formed, that's okay. But saying that Aryans were superior to non-Aryans, he did not accept. There is nothing of that sort, because thousands of years of thousands of years back, we had literature, we had surgery, we have technology. What did you people introduce new? So Indian civilization is a product of Vedic period and Indian culture as Vedic culture. And Indian culture is the Vedic culture, Indian result is out of the Vedic period. He ignored the impact of Britishers or the Islam in talking about the Indian culture. So he is trying to be ethnocentric. Definitely, Indian culture contributed, Vedic period contributed, okay. But others are also contributed. Islam has also contributed. And he showed women scholars, Apala, Gargi, which you notice in the various texts of the Indian Vedic period. In the various texts, you come across this woman, and he said India is the land of female deity. And he also said that tribes are not isolated. If you see, Nishad and Ramji are friends in the Gurukul. So that means a tribal person and a non-tribal person are friends in the Gurukul. So tribes are not isolated; they are rather always in contact. Britishers are saying that tribal people are isolated people. Vanarasena assisted Ram. The tribes have assisted the Ram. So he referred to Indology. His approach is Indological in nature. Indological means referring to the Indian textbooks and trying to talk about the Indian culture. That is Indological in approach. So he said that untouchability was not there in the past, but it got strengthened later. Right? So with respect to caste, his origin was related to the restless theory, Aryan invasion theory. Okay. And he accepted restless theory, but he said that the racial index or the nasal index is only true for north. He says that nasal index is only true for north properly, and rest intermingling happened. There is occupation and diffusion that has happened. You cannot use nasal index to understand the caste in the other parts of the country. So then we know the 6 features of the caste, what he has given, which we have studied. So that you already, right? So one more important thing that we need to understand is regarding the untouchability. What did he say in the caste? He says that untouchability is idea of purity and pollution, okay, which is occupational and ceremonial. So based on occupation, some pure occupations are there, in polluted occupations are there, and ceremonies also. According to Ghurye, even if there are lower castes and they are untouchables, even if they change their occupation, still the untouchability concept did not go away. So he says that there are two types of hierarchy. One is ritual hierarchy, other is secular hierarchy. So that concept, untouchables, may achieve higher status in secular hierarchy, but always lower in the ritual hierarchy. Now, a person belonging to untouchable or lower caste work very hard, he will achieve higher status. But still he is always low in the ritual status or ritual hierarchy. So according to him, there are two types of hierarchy. So now should we remove the caste system in order to remove untouchability? Should we remove the caste system? So during the British period, he felt that there are several phenomena which are strengthening caste and at the same time weakening the caste. They are both strengthening and weakening. So if you look at the caste census, Ghurye was the first scholar to condemn the caste census as it is going to create a kind of notion within the people, the differentiation on the basis of caste. People will start identifying themselves with caste. They'll start differentiating with respect to caste. Then obviously the caste system is going to lead to the new form in terms of associations, and that's never going to end. I mean, even with respect to reservation also, Ghurye said that reservations will tear India into multiple factions and this will promote caste patriotism. So what he said is that you give free schooling and free competition for improving the standard of life of lower caste, but don't give reservation. This will tear Indian society into multiple factions and develop caste patriotism or will promote caste patriotism among these people. So this is with respect to caste what he has spoken. What is features of caste we know, untouchability, reservation, and how the caste originated. So Ghurye's view on caste. When they ask, you have to write all these things, not just features of caste, how it originated, what is its view. With respect to untouchability, what is his view? With respect to reservation, what is his view? And now with respect to tribes, what is his view? See, we'll be seeing Verrier Elwin's isolation approach. Verrier Elwin says that tribes should be protected. You should not let outsiders come in because if you have seen Ananta Krishna Iyer's study, money lenders entered and they made them dispossess their lands. Their culture got depleted. Okay, so the culture was degenerating. This should not happen, and you need a separation, just like national park in USA. Here also we need national park approach to these people. Then Ghurye will counter this, saying that it is imperialist. Imperialist means colonial mindset, and he says that tribes are none other than the backward Hindus themselves. Tribes are not a different people; they are Hindus themselves. But these people were not assimilated into Hindus properly. They were not taken into Hindu system properly. There is improper assimilation. Assimilation means mixing with the Indian Hindu system. Assimilation did not happen properly, and for this reason, they are being backward. So no, this backwardness is not for tribes only. There are many other Hindu communities which are also backward. So now this protectionist policy, or if you are trying to go for isolation, this is going to lead to the disintegration of the tribes with the mainstream society, and it will encourage the economic interests of those colonial imperialists. Okay, so it will lead to disintegration. That means they'll become separate from the main society. At the same time, colonial people, what their interest, they want to rule over them by controlling the forest, and they will win over their objective if you are disintegrating. Henceforth, you should not see tribes as a separate community or as a whole, rather as a backward Hindus themselves. Hence, you have to mix up tribes into the Hindu society and strengthen their ties with the mainstream and improve their position. Okay. And unity within the Indian culture, how is it established? According to Ghurye, it is based on the religion. Cultural unity of India existed even before Britishers came, and it is on the basis of religion in India. So, based on religion, the cultural unity was present even before the Britishers. Whereas Ambedkar says that the unity is based on secular values. So, they differ in their opinion. This is with respect to G.S. Ghurye. Okay. So, next we have Verrier Elwin. So, you might have heard this person even before as well. Verrier Elwin came as a person who is part of the missionary. Actually, he was born in Sierra Leone. So, Sierra Leone, where is it located? You have to be good with your geography as well. So, he is from Sierra Leone. And his father was a priest. Slowly, he was made assistant to priest, and then he met Winslow, a person known as Winslow, who is head of the Christian Christ Service Society or Christian Missionary Related Society. He was the head, and he was asked to come along with him to promote Christianity in other places. They want to indigenize Christianity because people in other places, if you go, if you talk about Christianity, they won't accept. You should make local version of Christianity so that they'll accept. So make changes according, right? So they wanted to make a local version of Christianity and indigenize because people were reluctant to convert. The first church, local church, Christ Seva Sangh, was established in Pune, and it had the support of Gandhi, and their prayers were done in Hindi. Conversions were done, conversion practices were done in Punjabi also. So Elwin, who came to India to indigenize Christianity and establish Christianity in India, became close to Gandhi and Nehru. Elwin stayed with Gandhi in ashram. You'll see how he'll depart from Gandhi later, but now he's establishing his closeness with the Gandhi. He had huge respect for Gandhi. And it was Gandhiism which wedded him to India. He says that I was reborn as India. I was reborn as Indian after meeting Gandhi and following Gandhi's. Accepted every value system of Gandhi. The clothes, celibacy, vegetarianism, truth, ahimsa, non-violence. He equated Christianity with Gandhism. A Christian person is closer to Satyagrahi and Gandhism. So he says that somebody is Christian, then you are close to Gandhi. And he says Gandhi is the Jesus Christ of India. You can understand how they are trying to indigenize Christianity. Maybe it might sound like a praise to Gandhi for himself, but the motive might be like they are trying to, because everybody is following Gandhi. If you are saying that Christianity or somebody who's a Christian is equal to Gandhian follower or a Satyagrahi, then instead of doing all those things, he'll become a Christian. Right? So why to follow everything? Just become a Christian, then you'll become a Satyagrahi out of. This was his initial notion when he came to. He said 15th century Bhakti movement which happened in India is similar to the Renaissance that happened in Europe, making religion simple. So in 1932, he leaves the ashram to central India to start conversions. He'll leave the ashram, he'll go to central India. His objective was to do the conversion. And after going there, he sidelined all the political movements and he focused on studying the tribes of central India. And when he closely observed them, he said, I don't want to convert these people. He came to convert these people, but now he says, I don't want to convert these people. When he said, I don't want to convert those people into Christianity, immediately these people removed the license of the church. Just after a few days of losing his license, he clashed with the ideology of God. Few days after the losing the license from the Christ Service Society, who sent him to convert, when he said he don't want to convert, they said you're no more part of it, your license is cancelled. And few days after that, he clashed with the ideology of Gandhi. He said Gandhi for tribes is not good. They were living happily. For them, why do they need Khadi? Khadi is very costly. They enjoy hunting, liquor, and sex. For them, whatever the need for the life was present, it is being met. Why to bring a new need altogether? Their way of life is unique. And now something modern, sophisticated things, if you are introducing, it is only going to create a trouble in their life. And he says that this modern, sophisticated life has to learn from the tribes. The modern people has to learn from them. So he says that the simplicity that is present with the tribes, that is an outcome of the indigenous customs, knowledge, and beliefs, and he doesn't want to vanish it. He doesn't want to let this knowledge vanish. He want to preserve and conserve and focus. So from there, he starts studying these tribes in detail. So from there, he started anthropological understanding of Central Indian tribes. There in 1940, in 1932, he went there, left Gandhiji, right? And in 1940, he marries a girl from Gond community, Raj Gond community known as Kosi. he was categorized as pedophile because in this community, in the Rajguns, marriage happens at 12, 13 years. For outsiders, marrying at 12, 30 was like marrying the children. So they categorized him as pedophile. Pedophiles are those people who show sexual interest in the children. So they were portraying him as so. And with this girl, Kosi, the name of the girl who married is Kosi, he had a son known as Jawaharlal. And divorce happens with the Kosi. He marries another girl from Pradhan Gond. So this is Raj Gond. There is other Gond known as Pradhan Gond or Pradhan Gond. So the name of the girl from this community is Leela. He has three children with her, three sons. He later settled in the northeast. What most of the anthropologists considered Verrier Elwin was a very good writer and mediocre scientist because his writings are so good. He used to present things sophisticatedly, creating curiosity. However, anthro insights were missing in the studies. So he studies the Baiga community. The first monograph that he has done is the Baigas. So they had shifting cultivation practice, and due to colonial encroachments, the tribals who were once the kings of the jungle had now become the subordinates of the forest officials and the forest bureaucracy, who, who views them as the savage. They think that these people are savage and backward, but they were kings of their jungle once upon a time. He says that shifting cultivation was regenerating. It was based on sustainability. They were not exploiting it. It is the bureaucratic view that is problematic in nature. And these officials who came there, they were collecting rents at their whims and fancies. And this is leading to the troubles in the tribes. Because money was not present previously. Now you introduce the money and put them addict to liquor and tea, because of which they spend too much. And now they borrow. When they borrow, they become the money lenders. They grab the forest totally. And he talked about the Muryas and the Gotuls. So he was the first one to talk about. See, before this, the youth dormitories were discussed by S.C. Roy also. S.C. Roy also discusses the youth dormitories. What are youth dormitories? In tribes, there is a place where all the youth will come and stay there, just like a hostel. But there are no strict rules. It has its own way of functioning, where the people come over there, interact with each other. The boys and girls live over together. What picture has been portrayed by Verrier Elwin was erotic. The seniors or the senior will be teaching the juniors how to engage in the sexual practices, which was not suited to Gandhism. Gandhism talks about celibacy. Here in tribes, they teach sexual practices even before marriage. Okay, for them it is nothing wrong. Premarital sexual relations are not right, and they're trained. And he says that there are no values related to celibacy here. Their entire value system run around hunger for sex and food. If Gandhism is imposed on them, their culture will be destroyed. So he was portraying in a very poetic language the Gotuls. These were called as Gotuls. He calls Gotuls are the place where the dance of genitals happen, presenting an erotic picture. And he said that idea of virginity is complex here. The married couples are not virgins, but are relatively virgin to each other. They are not virgins, but they are virgin to each other, relatively. So this is the view that he has presented. And tomorrow we will be studying his nationalistic approach and the other tribes saw us. So we'll be studying others also. And he goes to Northeast India. There, he Northeast Frontier Agency was established, which you might be studying in the history. And there some policies comes up, and how he understands there what is happening about the tribes over there because of introduction of Christianity. So he talks about them. That we'll be looking at tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow also the class is very important. Try to attend. So by Friday we'll finish unit 4. Okay. Any doubts so far? If you have any doubts, you can please ask. Don't miss out on the live class for coming 3 to 4 days, because once you listen to them, it has a long term impact because of the story that you learn. Or else, what will happen if you watch the recorded videos? You will just try to watch it in 2 speed, 2.5 speed. Your focus is on finishing the things, not on understanding or grasping the information. So when you go for 2.5, obviously just after the class, all the information will fade away. So just try to attend the live lectures for the coming 2 3 classes. So that will help. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you everyone. If you have any doubts, you can please ask. Done? Thank you.